Okay, hello. I've just realised one technical problem. So I can't, unless I can read sideways, I'm going to have to change that. Okay, it's my Christmas tree. Hello, and Merry Christmas. And can somebody just tell me whether you can hear me or not? I'm going to do a Rob Gershon, who spent the first 5 minutes saying, hello, is anyone there? Hi Jem, hi Adam, hi someone I don't know. You can hear me, brilliant. Okay, it's Friday 22nd of December and it's nearly Christmas, and I'm really delighted in a scared way to be invited to join in the CIH Human Library. So thank you Futures for the invitation. I just say I seem to have been waiting a little while for this, but it's fine. Got there now, so all is forgiven. It's a really brilliant idea, and it has absolutely, oh god, all these things are coming through on here. This is like really scary. It's made me realise how I love talking to people, and I love the interaction of talking to people, and it's a little bit strange when you can't gauge any reaction from out there, but never mind. I will. Hello James, is that Jamie? Oh, Jamie, Rising Star, brilliant. Hello, how are you doing? And Anna's here, so Anna will nudge me if I get something completely and utterly wrong, I'm sure. Don't nudge today, Anna, just scream at me, that'd be great. Hello Rachel, hi Evie. So I have got a list of things from lovely Adam telling me what I need to do today, some potential lines of conversation. So I'm going to start, talk a little bit about me and the role of the President, a little bit about what I hope to do for the next year, and then talk a little bit about CIH Futures and leadership, and what the sector needs to start thinking about, look like in the next 10 years, should we say. Hi Steph, hi Jodie. This is quite cool, isn't it? Nobody can answer back, which is, you know, could use it for marriage guidance or something. Anyway, okay, so my name's Alison. I am President of CIH for 2017-18, following in the footsteps of some frankly uber amazing people. So my immediate predecessors were Julie Fadden and Geraldine Howley, and before that Steve Stride, Paul Tennant and Robin Lawler, and then before Robin, Paddy Gray. And I don't know if you know Paddy. Paddy's a legend, responsible for educating more housing professionals than anyone else I can think of at the top of my head. I wanted to just focus a little bit about Paddy, because Paddy, like me, was a little bit different. Our other colleagues in between were all chief execs of brilliant... Oh goodness, somebody sent a request to be in your live video. Don't know what that means. Hi Jane. Oh, that's beyond me, but hello, have a pasty. So, because the question is, what's your journey to being president of CIH? And I suppose I've come a strange way round, but it's really good to be here. So I used to work for a local authority and loved that, and hello to anyone from local authority housing. You do a brilliant job and we don't talk about it enough. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. So I used to work for a local authority, and then when I was in my late 20s and 30s I was really poorly, stopped work for a while, and then when I got better I got involved in lots and lots of governance, and that was fab. In the charity sector as well as the housing sector. I was also I was a magistrate, a very benevolent one, I'll have it said, for getting on for 20 years, and I spent 10 years in the family court. And then in 2007 I joined the board of Colchester Borough Homes, which is an ALMO with some absolutely stonkingly brilliant people there, and just things. I was just really lucky. I became chair of the National Federation of Almos, which is a trade body, and became involved with CIH. And since then, I've done lots of different housing things. So CIH, I love CIH, and I think lots of you who are watching love CIH too. CIH is a professional body for housing. It is not a trade body. We have a royal charter that's very clear. It talks about us acting in the public interest and acting on the basis of on the basis of evidence. So we're not here to do what's the best thing for any one group of people, but for what we've got a wider public interest imperative, and I think that's really important. We also act across the whole of housing, and having had experience of local authorities and Almos as well as housing associations, I think that is important. I was just looking at some figures earlier, and I don't know what the latest ones are, but by the end of 2015, I think the figures for is that there? No, I've lost it. Oh, God. Anyway, there were more people living in local authority. Oh, hello, Ellie. Bye-bye, Ellie. Happy Christmas. More people living in local authority housing than in housing association housing. I imagine the figures have moved a little bit since then, but it's basically parity. So to me, it's really important that we're providing a service to and reflecting the needs of local authorities. And one of my issues for the future is we're going to get a generation of professionals who've either worked in the housing association sector or they've worked in the local authority sector. And I think there's lots we can do to make sure we understand each other's worlds a little bit more. Does that make sense? Somebody tell me if that makes sense. People have stopped talking to me. Okay, that sounded a bit of a preach, but it's not. So at the moment, I, as well as being involved with CIH, hi Poi, oh hi Jane, I am on the board of TPAS, TPAS England, for anyone who's watching in Wales, particularly for Michelle Reid, otherwise she'll shout at me. And TPAS, we are the engagement experts, and we are very clear that we're here to help tenants and landlords and contractors work together for the best outcomes. I'm really proud to be part of TPAS. I'm proud of our team, and I just want to say a big shout out to Jenny Osborne, who is super duper. I'm on the board at Cone Housing, which is a small traditionally based housing association here in Colchester. That's really interesting. I've put myself on the audit committee because I'm not very confident about that. I think we should always do the thing that's hardest, maybe. What else? Okay. Why are you CIH? As I say, I'm CIH because I think we are, to use that word, we're better together. I think housing is a profession. I think maybe over the past few years, parts of the sector have maybe been very keen to say that they're not really housing, and actually we value everybody else in the world rather than ourselves as housing professionals, whether that's around some of the technical skills or customer service or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're managing, building, maintaining homes, and we need to be the best that we can be doing that. So, how are we doing for time? Oh God, there's not enough. Right, 12:39. Okay, what are your hopes for your presidential year? Well, what I'm really looking forward to, and have been doing already, is just having conversations with people around the sector. So this week I was up in Norfolk at Flagship, that was really interesting. So a large for East Anglia provider, just hearing a little bit about what they're doing and what they're hoping to do in the future. And this time last week, I think I was at Notting Hill, and two things really struck me there. I met young people who are really obviously empowered within their organisation, empowered to have ideas, empowered to run with them, within parameters. But I think the best organisations in the sector do that. One of my beefs, I suppose, is that we send often the lowest paid people within our organisations into the homes of the most vulnerable members of our communities. And we're comfortable with that, but then we're not necessarily comfortable in empowering those people. I think the age of what I would call command and control leadership. Oh, here's Rob. Hi, Rob. Needs to be over. I think we need to trust people. I think we need to trust our communities. And I think one of the tests of leadership is being able to admit that other people know better than you. We're not, the highest paid person in the organisation isn't always the right person to make a particular decision. I think there's probably quite a lot more that we could devolve within organisations. Oh, hi Gabby, hello. So having the conversations with people in organisations is really fascinating, interesting, and an absolute privilege. One of the joys of the presidency, and I should just say the role of the president is to sort of be the link between our members and the organisation. I'm just looking at what I've got written down here. So that is, that's why I'm really looking forward to getting out and meeting as many of our members as possible. We also get to pick a theme. Started off as raising money for a charity, and I want to broaden that. So as well as raising money, my chosen charity is Women's Aid. As well as raising money, I want to raise awareness. And this has been the most interesting part of the last few months. Lots of you will have heard me said I've got an involvement with Women's Aid that goes back, with the Women's Refuge movement that goes back a long way. And one of the sadnesses in my life is that, we haven't cracked this problem yet, and we need to talk more. So I've been inspired by lots of people to do this. Lots of women in the women's sector. I want to say a quick hello to Kelly and to Goody and to Nicola and everyone else at DAHA, the Domestic Abuse Housing Alliance. Take a look at them. There is so much that housing organisations can do to make a difference, to actually save lives. To some of the women that set up refuges back in the 70s, the most incredible women, a lot of them still fighting the same battles that they've been fighting for a long time. So, trying to raise some money, and CIH Futures have promised to raise £10,000 playing rounders, which is brilliant, as long as I don't have to play. It's going to be fab. Getting people together in a common cause and having a bit of a laugh. And actually, how much more can we do if we have a good time doing it? We don't have to be, I was going to say something rude, but I've just realised this is safe for posterity, so I best not swear. We don't always have to take ourselves quite so seriously. We can enjoy ourselves and do good work as well. So I was just having a look at the Women's Aid do a census every year, and this is to give you some facts and figures which will explain why we need to support the refuge sector. So on just one day, this last in 2017, 94 women and 90 children were turned away from refuge services in England on just one day, and that's just in England. On Census Day 2,182 women and 2,336 children were staying in refuge. And only 66% of refugees now have got children's workers. So we need to do everything we can to support the sector. And that's just in England. We've got, incredible organisations working in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland as well. And that's one of the things about the presidency is I'm really keen to emphasise that CIH works across the UK. We're not an English organisation, we're a worldwide organisation, and in particular we're a UK-wide organisation. I've been over to Ireland a couple of times recently, that's been fab, so hello to everyone over there. I was up in Scotland for the Excellence Awards, and I've been lucky over the last few years to spend a lot of time in Wales with some amazing people there. And I think that's something we can do as professionals, is actually look to other countries in the UK, stop defaulting to where we are, but actually make sure that we're learning from others. Okay, how are we doing? Yep, there are just too many people turned away from services, and so many people who aren't even asking. One of the things we were talking about, I was talking to Goody about last week, was the importance of that first contact, and that can be made to anybody. Making a disclosure of abuse is really, really difficult. It's also quite risky. So we've got to make sure that our response is, okay, thanks, fine for telling me, now you need to go and phone those people over there. If you do one thing, if somebody makes a disclosure for you and wants expert help from somewhere like a local service or the National Domestic Violence Helpline, offer to do it for them, offer to do it with them. Having to tell your story lots and lots of times is really hard. Okay, what are we doing for time? It's 1:45. I meant to move on to questions, I think, now, but I just wanted to talk about, I've got some questions you've given me about young leaders. And I've covered some of this, but I really do think we need to embed leadership throughout organisations and throughout communities, and that sometimes means letting go. As I say, it means accepting that other people might know more than you, might know better than you. And how grim it would be to be working in a context where, oh God, I've just pressed something, that was the wrong thing. Okay, let me press something else. Okay, that's better. Where you don't trust people. One of the things I've been asked about is biggest inspirations inside and outside the sector. That's really tricky, just because so many people. I wanted to say something about Sarah Webb. Sarah was the Chief Executive of CIH, who sadly died in 2011. It was Sarah who persuaded me I was a housing professional. I talked at the beginning about being different. So Paddy was a bit different because he came up through the academic sector. My housing background is, in the last 10 years has been governance related. It's not always easy being different to everybody else, and I think it does us all good sometimes just to be aware of that. And it was Sarah who made me realise that, who gave permission for me to think of myself as a housing professional, even though I don't turn up at the office at 9 o'clock every morning, like some of you do. Okay. So, and Sarah was just great, and we miss her dearly. Who else? Okay, I'm just going to name check some people who I think are fabulous. Michelle Reid, who used to be Chief Exec of TPAS England, now running Cunnan Taff Community Housing. I think we could enter the Olympics on imposter syndromes, probably, but Michelle is a wonderful, wonderful person and role model, and made a real difference to me. I just want to say a bit of a shout out to Jane Nelson from Mears. Jane Jane's career has been incredible. Started off as an apprentice painter and decorator at Hackney Council, and is now exec director at one of the biggest contractors in the sector. And every step of her way, Jane has brought up other people behind her. And I think one of the things that I try to do is I hope, is enable people. I love putting people together and seeing what happens, or not seeing what happens, but just introducing this sector with so many fantastic people. But I do tend to say to people, if I've done this for you, then you've got to promise to do it for someone else. And that was something that Sarah was very keen on, something called the daisy chain, which was about passing it on. And Jane is an absolute perfect example of a woman who does that. I want to say hello to Aileen Evans, who is one of my... I haven't mentioned Shout, have I? Okay. Bit of a lesson in there. So about 3 years ago, I suppose, after having lots of conversations here on Twitter, Tom Murtha and I met for a coffee, had a bit of a chat, and then a few weeks after that, we met in a pub in Grantchester, just opposite where... what's that programme called? Anyway, there's a programme filmed there about a vicar who solves murders. We didn't solve any murders, but there was Colin Wiles, Aileen Evans, Tom and myself, and we decided to set up Shout, which is the social housing under threat. And we've done various bits and bobs, trying to make the case for social housing, trying to make the case for investing in social housing, but also for... trying to do something about the terrible stigmatisation and demonisation of a whole massive section of people who just happen to rent their home from a social landlord. We got Rob involved. I don't know if you're still there, Rob. Hello if you are, Rob. And some fantastic people, Martin Wheatley, a brain the size of the universe, Steve Hilditch, Tim Morton. We've had help from all sorts of people. We felt a bit like we were looked at strangely a few years ago when we were saying, actually, we need to have conversations about investing in housing, and the best way to do it is through investment up front, otherwise you pay forever in housing benefit. So it's nice to see that that's gone a little bit more mainstream, maybe, in the last year or so. Okay, I think you're meant to ask me some questions now. I'm going to have a quick slurp of coffee because, do you like my Christmas tree? I thought it'd be quite nice to be a bit festive. Actually, as it's to mark the questions, what's the best intro? I thought I'd be Christmassy for a minute. Okay, so my glasses move when I put that on, which is weird. What's the best introduction to an organisation you've ever had? I think that might have been somebody, Adam, sending me a picture of definitely a picture of a Cinderella's glass carriage to take me around Great Yarmouth, and then somebody buying me a Greggs sausage roll and eating it in the street. Biggest learning of your career? Oh, Stephanie, that's not an easy one. Okay, sometimes it doesn't work, and that's fine. Sometimes you find yourself in the wrong place, working with the wrong people, and it's fine to just find somewhere else where you fit better. Does that make sense? Can be a bit horrible, but there you go. Any advice for a social housing newbie? Oh, brilliant. Hi. So are you is it Jodie? Talk to people, learn, say yes. I think that's actually probably the best. One of the lessons I've learnt, that if someone gives you an opportunity to do something a bit extra, to do something a bit different, I'm going to take these off now because actually I look a complete pillock. Whereas if I put these on, then I just look really cool. Say yes, be enthusiastic, learn from people. You can just remember that you can learn from everybody. It's not just about learning from the people we perceive to be leaders, but you can learn from your tenants, you can learn from someone who's been doing their job for 20 years. Get out there, say yes, be enthusiastic, join CIH. And Jodie, you're only 21, so it's only going to cost you, if you're not a member already, it's only going to cost you £60, cheaper than Netflix. And I'm sure one of the wonderful CIH Futures gang on here will be with you in a moment, and they'll follow that up. What's the biggest thing HAs can learn from local authorities? What did I say? Did I not say £60? Yeah, cheapest chips, okay. Oh, wow, wait a minute. That's a really interesting question. When I was at Flagship the other day, I won't use the analogy I use because it's probably not very polite, but I think we need to see ourselves as others see us sometimes. And local authorities, Almos in particular, I would say that I used to be chair of the NFA and I love a nice little Almo. It's not always about spending money. I know people like Karen Lohman at Colchester Borough Homes. That woman can get the £10 of value out of a 50 pence piece that she's got hidden away under her desk. It's not about spending money. It's about working closely with your communities. Sometimes I think we need to think before we throw money at a problem. How many hours did a minimum wage carer, have to pay for this money to be raised? Actually, is this the way? Is this the right use of their money? I think we need to stop trying to prove that we're better. Part of the sector is better than another part of the sector. One kind of organisation is better than another kind of organisation. Listen to your communities. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Learn from everyone. Geordie Lioness. Thank you. Oh, bloody hell, what's happened? Oh, I don't. God, I got to 12:56 without swearing. I'm heading into the remote countryside. Evie, have a lovely Christmas. Evie's doing an amazing thing on Christmas Day. She was telling me earlier, she's going to Social Bite, which is social enterprise in Glasgow that helps people who are homeless to get something to eat. I think that's how Evie and her mum are spending Christmas Day. Isn't that fabulous? Okay, is there anything that you're expecting me to say that I've not said? Oh, 5th of January is the next book in the library, and that is Esco Reinikainen, who sounds like a particularly cool person from Cardiff. Geordie, another question. Geordie Lioness. Another question. How involved is CIH going to get in regulating the PRS? Well, we're not obviously not a regulator, but we do have a look at some of our. We've got some qualifications on the PRS, and actually we're working with quite a few landlords to do that. That's going well. You need to talk to our colleagues in Wales. I always say this. I'm always picking up Wales, but so now all private landlords in Wales have to undertake some kind of training, I understand. We are really keen to get more members in the PRS, and we need to highlight good practice. I mentioned very quickly earlier, briefly, the Rising Stars. I don't know, you might even work that, I don't know. A wonderful woman called Carla Keegans, who's set up a social ethical lettings agency, and I think we need to do far more to learn from and highlight good practice. It's also about supporting, local authorities need to be supported, and I'm going to take these off, and that means financially as well, in order to do that regulation. So we need to be skilling up the people and supporting the people who are doing the regulation, but we need proper funding for local authorities in order to be able to do that. Adam, one thing you want us all to go away and do. Okay. talk to somebody you don't normally talk to at work and learn something from them. Talk to one of a customer, tenant actually I call them in my world, but you know, there you go. And find out something, find out something about them and what they think of you and your organisation and what you could do better. But don't make it about don't make it about your organisation. Just go and have a conversation you don't normally talk to. Yeah, I think there's a real issue for people who work in the sector who are going to end up managing homes that they'd love to live in them. You know, they've not got access to, and supporting people who are a lot better housed than they are. We just need to build more bloody social housing, don't we? For goodness sake, how do we help? How do we deal with homelessness? Build more social housing. How do we help people into home ownership? Build more social housing. It ain't rocket science. Oh, Rob, you're brilliant too. How's Mrs. G? Hope you have a lovely Christmas. Loved your turkey curry recipe the other day. That's what we'll be doing next week. What's your plans for Christmas Day? Right, Christmas Day. So Christmas Eve, we have a bit of some old friends for dinner, and that'll be a bit of a car crash probably. So late morning Christmas dinner with my lovely, lovely family. And then up to my mum's on Boxing Day. My mum's cool. So I don't know if Jane's still there, but if you are Jane and you're up in Lee over Christmas, then maybe we could have a pasty. Gabby's scone or scone in my world. There is only scone. Rachel, I can't afford the PRS or half the other. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sonny Wezzy, oh my word, that's my sister-in-law. Hello, how did you know about that? Nice to see you. Do you like my tree? Gosh, I think we're nearly done, aren't we? It's 1 minute late. Do I have to stop now? Adam, do I need to stop? Hello, anyone there? No. Okay, thank you. This has been really, really weird, and but no pasties at Christmas for Jane Warnes. Don't stop. I know, I've, oh, what's happened? Thanks for all this, but yes, you can go on all afternoon if you want to. Okay, no, I better not, but it's been a joy. Check out CIH Futures. I just wanted to finish by saying that we're looking at a bit of a cliff edge in terms of senior leadership. Awful lot of people going to be retiring in the next 5 to 10 years, and we need to think really seriously about how we're going to fill some of the gaps. But if you could do one thing, it's stop thinking of influence, leadership, culture or anything else being embedded solely with the person in your organisation that gets paid the most money. Okay, because you can make a difference. You can make a difference to the people you work with, and you can make a difference for the people you work for in your community. So I think we have to stop waiting for somebody else to do it, crack on and do it ourselves. And I am going to officially put my out of office on. I am going to make some mince pies, maybe mull a bit of wine later. Look forward to seeing you fabulous people in the new year. Okay, bye. Except now I'm going to ask, how do I turn it off? Eva, you didn't tell me this bit. You told me how to switch the damn thing on. Okay, I think it's this one. All right, bye.